Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. So tonight I've got a really exciting video for you because I've been to Florida 5 or 6 times now. I used to go with some of my family and they were going every year for a period of time, so I've learned lots of like good tips and tricks from them, but then also from having to do a lot of it myself, because when I used to go with them, like, my granny would book it all for us, whereas now I've had to book it myself a few times. I actually have learned a lot along the way as well, so hopefully some of this information can really help you. Because booking a trip to Florida isn't for the faint-hearted. There's a lot that you have to know. It's expensive, so you want to make sure that when you do book it, you get it right. Some mistakes can be costly if you don't know how to find the correct information or what you need to do before you book, etc, etc. So I'm going to get started with the things I recommend the most even before you book your flights. So before you book your flights, I always recommend that you book and submit your application form for your ETSA. Now this is a visa for you to get into America, and 9 times out of 10 it's absolutely seamless and they fly through, but that one time that it doesn't fly through, you need a meeting at the embassy, and that can take up to 6 months. So I do not ever recommend booking any flights until you make sure that you get approved for your ETSA. They cost about $21, which obviously with exchange rate fluctuates on what pounds that is, but I'll link the official website below because there is lots of third-party scam websites that will still give you an ETSA but will charge you a lot more for it. So you only ever should pay £21, and the official link for that will be down below on this video. Now it will just ask, it's quite lengthy, take your time, don't rush it. I did rush the one that I did the other day and I was panicking a little bit because I should have just waited, but take your time. It just asks for all your contact information. It asks for the hotel and contact details for you when you're in America. It'll ask questions like, have you ever been arrested, stuff like that, and just obviously if the answers are no, be sure to click no, because if you accidentally click yes, that will completely decline your application and then you'll have to go for the meeting again, which can take up to 6 months, which is why I recommend not booking anything until you know these ETSAs are going to be approved. That is my #1 tip and the first thing that I always do before I book any flights, but they are valid for 2 years. So if you apply now, you'll have it valid then until 2026. The second thing you need to do is decide on whether you want a hotel or a villa. Now, villas are really popular in Florida, however, they are a little bit further out than the hotels are. So really, to have a villa, you need to drive and rent a car out there. Driving out there is actually not as bad as people say. I've never done it, but anyone that I've spoke to has said that once they have driven, it's not that bad. So if you're happy to rent a car, a villa can be a good option based on how many of you are traveling. Obviously if it's a bigger party or there's a couple of people going or a family, then it is a good option. The first time I ever went, there was like 12 of us that stayed in a villa and it worked really well. Obviously we could buy all our own food, so we did save quite a bit of money on that. But for smaller parties or just a couple, I don't know, like, I would never book a villa now unless I was going with a bigger party again. So I always just book the trip as a whole. I always find my flight and my hotel together. Couple of options of this could be Ocean Florida. I've booked with them before. They do, depending on when you're booking, you can book with Ocean Florida if you want to book for like 2026, because they will give you one price for that holiday, but they don't know how much it's actually going to cost yet. So you could be looking at the holiday working out a little bit more expensive than it could be if you were to wait. However, it just does give you lots of options to spread the cost. They typically ask for about £150 per person deposit, and then you can spread the rest over time. So if you're taking your children or you're going as quite a big group and it's going to be quite costly, then it is a good option to do that and book it through somewhere like Ocean Florida, where you can spread the cost. If you know your dates and they're in the next year, then you can book with people like BA, TUI. I've booked with BA 3 times now, and then I booked with Ocean Florida 1 time, purely because I was impatient and I wanted a date that wasn't available on the BA website yet, even though we did end up with a BA flight. It just meant that Ocean Florida can sort of pre-book, and they've got access to further away dates with BA than we would have. But then if I'm not as impatient and I wait myself, I can book it myself on the BA website. I will pop in some images of the hotel that we normally stay at. We normally always stay at the Rosen Inn Point. Rosen Inn have a few hotels. They have one, the Point is right in the middle of International Drive, or they've got Lake Buda Vista, which I think is near Disney, and then they've got International, which is up near Universal. We just liked the Point because it was right in the middle. It's right on iDrive, so that you've got like the iTrolley that goes up and down, takes you to all the premium outlets. It's just a really good location. There's loads of places to eat all around. And yeah, I'm just a creature of habit, so once we went there the first time, we just went back there again the second 2 times. With BA and TUI, you also can spread the cost. They typically ask for payment about 60 to 30 days before you travel. BA, I think it's £150 deposit. TUI was £50. And I think at one point TUI were doing no deposit, but you sort of had to pay the balance quite soon after booking. But they are really good. BA have always been really good at really flexible payment options. Again, especially if you're booking like a year in advance, you've got 12 months then to save and pay off that balance. We're looking now to go in September, and if we were to book and pay with a deposit now, the balance would be due on the 2nd of August, which is 1 month away from today. So it still does give you a little bit of time, at least 2 paydays if you wanted to spread it over that way. But yeah, I really recommend BA. The food's all really good. You get 23 kg worth of hand luggage, and it's just really easy and flexible. If I've ever needed support, they've always been on the end of the phone and been quite easy to contact. We did have a couple of holidays booked during COVID and we had to move them, and BA were really good and really quick to get us sorted and get us moved over. So yeah, I really recommend BA, and I'll probably continue to travel with them. The flights and hotel that we're looking at currently for September are actually only £700 per person. That's 2 weeks in the Ramada Plaza, which includes a continental breakfast. So yeah, that's a super good deal. Obviously park tickets are a little bit of a minefield, and I know that it can be really overwhelming because you're not sure where to book, how much it's going to cost, what you actually do need to book. There are so many different options, there are so many different websites. Typically there's not always deals on the park tickets unless you go to a website where they'll combine everything. So the only place I've ever booked tickets is Attraction Tickets Direct. I'll pop the link and everything else in the description box below just so you have direct, safe links to everything. But we've only ever used Attraction Tickets Direct. Again, really good if you want to spread the cost. You pay a £25 per person deposit and then you pay the rest off. The tickets don't actually get dispatched or given to you until you've paid the balance off. However, I think that has to be paid within 6 weeks of travel, just to make sure there's enough time there to process and send over your tickets to you. They actually email tickets now. They did used to send them out physically in a really nice little packet, but unfortunately they don't do that anymore. You just get QR codes, so you just have to make sure that they're printed really well because they can be funny at the barriers. And especially Universal, we had a little bit of trouble just because if they were to get wet, obviously we're only printing them in paper. If they get wet, you just can't scan them as easily. But there are so many different options. I'll pop some pictures in here now, but you can get the all over Orlando ticket, which includes all Disney parks, all Universal parks, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, and it does work out a little bit cheaper, obviously, if you're going to do all of these parks. Depending on how many times you've been before, if it's your first time, I would really recommend this ticket. It just gives you full access to everything. You can go in and out of the Disney parks as much as you want. You can go in and out of Universal as much as you want. And I think you get 1 day in SeaWorld and 1 day in Busch Gardens. Really recommend trying all. We really like Universal the most. I think in this upcoming trip we're only going to do Universal because we just got back last year and we did Disney. Disney isn't really one that you need to do every time. Universal I would seriously recommend. It's my absolute favourite. It's just pure magical and I love it. I would recommend it to everybody. But you can get Disney tickets on their own, you can get Universal tickets on their own. It just depends what you want to do. Like I say, this time we're only booking Universal, SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, but you can just book Disney if you wanted to, you can just book SeaWorld if you wanted to, or you can book 1 day at Disney. You can do like a split ticket, so you could go to Magic Kingdom in the morning, you could go to Hollywood Studios in the evening. I would really recommend taking a look at all the parks. Obviously if you're going like with children, what sort of age they're going to be and what rides they're going to do just sort of depends on if you could only pick 2 parks, which 2 parks you would pick. Animal Kingdom and Epcot are my absolute favourites. I just love them. They're just the best. There are so many different things to go into when it comes to parks. When it comes to Disney, you can download the Disney app and it tells you like all the wait times. It tells you can sort of download Genie Plus, which is, it sort of helps you book on to all your rides if you want to. There is an extra charge for that. It's not always worth it, and it does become a bit regimented in the fact that you could book the Everest ride now and then you've got 15 minutes to get over to like the dinosaur ride, and it sort of just takes away from the day a little bit. So as much as it's got a lot of pluses, I think if you just wanted to go with the flow, you don't need to worry about Genie Plus as much. It was a little bit more helpful I think during COVID when they were just trying to limit people hanging around and waiting too long, but I don't think it's that necessary now, and I do just think it does just make the day that little bit more stressful because you're sort of quick, I've done that ride, let me pre-book my next one, let's get over there, we've got 15 minutes or etc. So yeah, definitely recommend trying the whole Orlando package. Again, I think it's about £970 for 2024 prices, but it is so worth it. Especially if you've never been, you have to experience all of it and you can spread that cost. So if you're booking for some point next year, I mean, they've got like 2025 prices for the whole year. So you could even just book your park tickets with your deposit and then sort your flights out when they become available, and then you can just sort of spread the cost for both. Now, when it comes to Universal, they do fast passes, which basically means that when you get into the park, there are 2 different lanes. There's normal queue and there's fast pass queue. Now, fast pass gets you there so much quicker, and it really is worth doing. However, it's not worth paying the daily rate that they charge you, especially if you're a party of 2 or more. There are 3 specific Universal hotels that you can book a room at which give you fast passes included. Now, what we always do is a little bit of a cheat, and not many people know about it surprisingly, but we always book just 1 night in Loews Royal Pacific Hotel. I'll pop a picture here. It is an absolutely beautiful hotel. It's such a treat compared to like some of the more basic hotels on International Drive. It's so beautiful. The smell when you walk in the door, I just can't even explain. If I could bottle it up and make my entire house smell of it, I absolutely would. It's such a nice smell. It just smells like paradise. It does work out at about, for 2 people, it's about £300. Again, I'll pop another picture just in here. It's about £300. However, you can show up to that hotel at 7 o'clock in the morning of your day of check-in, and you get fast passes for the entire of your party who are going to stay in the hotel for that day and the checkout day. So you get there for 7, you leave your overnight bag, they can store it for you in their safe room, you get your fast passes for that whole day. they text you when your room is ready, which is normally about 3 o'clock, and then that's sort of like perfect time to go back to the room, freshen up, and then get back in the park and continue using your fast passes. And then on the day of checkout, they let you keep your room key, and that then also works as a fast pass for that entire day as well. And you do get to go into the parks an hour earlier than everybody else, which again is just another really nice perk, and it sort of means you can get queuing on your favourite rides that little bit quicker. There are a few rides that don't work with fast pass. To my knowledge, it's only Hagrid's motorbike that still doesn't work. However, I'm not sure if Velocicoaster, the new Jurassic Park one, now allows it. I'll have to confirm that. But yeah, there is only that one ride. But again, when you get in the hour earlier, it just means you can get into that queue if you want to, although it does get really long first thing in the morning. The best time is normally at about 3 o'clock or towards the end of the day. A massive important point when going to Florida is to be aware that they do have Uber over there, and Uber really saved us the second time. So when my family used to go, they used to just get the orange taxis that would like sit outside the hotel and just be sort of readily available everywhere, and they just cost an absolute fortune because they know that you're stuck somewhere and they can charge what they want basically. Whereas Uber is very much like in the UK. Book it on your phone, it gives you a price and they pick you up. You know exactly where they are and they know exactly where they're taking you. There's no confusion and it's just so simple. They do have an American version as well called Lyft. Very similar. A lot of times you would just compare prices. One would just work out a little bit cheaper than the other. And you just booked whichever. They're very similar. There's no pros and cons. The only thing with Lyft is that you need to download the Lyft app and register for it with your phone number while you're still in the UK. If you try and do it when you're in the US, it won't register with your phone number. So do it when you're at home in the UK. This is the little app icon here. But just make sure to pre-register for it when you're still in the UK and you're not in America, because it won't work. If that is the case though, like I say, Uber is absolutely fine. If you don't know the difference and you don't want to download both, that's absolutely fine. When you do download the Lyft app, they do give you loads of really good perks though. So you'll get like 50% off your first fare and then like 20% off your next 5. So it's worth you downloading it and then maybe other people in your party downloading it as well, just so you all can get that benefit. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions, just pop them down below. I will pop my Instagram handle here so that you can take a look at all my old highlights on Instagram at my past trips, and then look out for my upcoming trip. Thank you so much for watching.